Hello, so apparently we're live. We'll figure this out. There's a little technical blip at the beginning. I apologize if you saw that. Okay, so today, you might have already guessed if you've seen our social media, we're going to be making brownies. Well, I'm going to be making brownies. You can make brownies as well if you want. It's completely up to you. So, I have already kind of begun. I've got a bit ahead of the game, and I've started measuring out all of my ingredients so that I can really kind of get into it as soon as we start. So my surface is wet. Right. So I've got 100 grams of flour and 30 grams of cocoa powder in there. I've got 250 grams of caster sugar in here. I'm going to need a tablespoon of baking powder. Other brands are available. I've got some white chocolate, which I'll show you what I'm going to do with that later. 4 eggs. Where have I put it? There it is. And I've got, you're meant to have 200 grams, but I've got 150 because branded chocolate is a rip-off. And I've got 100 grams of butter in there as well. Oh, it's still melting. Oh dear. I didn't spot that one. That bit of butter was hiding. Oh well, it will melt in the heat of it. Be careful, your chocolate will be hot. Yes, so that's what I've got. I don't need that one. Now, before we get going, I'm going to show you a really neat trick on how you can test that your eggs are just right. So, these eggs actually went out of date on the 21st of April, which was, what, 3 days ago? Oops. So, I've got myself a jug of water. I'll stand in front of it so you can kind of see it. And I'm going to put my egg in. I'm going to let it sink. If it stays on the bottom, it means it's a good egg. You're a good egg. And it's going to be absolutely fine to eat. If it's kind of halfway, you might just about get away with it. But if it's floating at the top, nah, it's gone. Don't even bother cracking that egg. Okay, so I've already tested out all my eggs, and they are all okay, which is brilliant. Okay, so let's get going. I'm just going to get my recipe up on my phone. Okay, so I've heated the oven to 160 degrees already, just to get myself, again, ahead of the game. And I don't need that water anymore, so I'm just going to move that over there. Right. In my big bowl. And I need to whisk the eggs and the sugar together until they're light and fluffy. So I'm going to add the sugar, put that in the bowl. Pop in the eggs. Let me try that bit again. I'm going to be brave and break them straight in. In fact, I'm going to move the camera a little bit. Not the pasta jar over. Right, pasta is important. We love pasta in this house. Oh. I got the laptop. That's not good. Hold on. Right. This is what happens when you do things live on camera. Lol, never mind. Just gonna push that into the middle of the butter. Whoops. Oh yeah, also let us know that you're here in the comments. It's great to be chilling with you again. I was here on Monday with Rosie, so you're getting a lot of me in the live streams this week. I do apologise for this picture above my head. I've got no idea why it's there. It's been there 5 years, and it's got a magnetic back, and it just stays there. No one's bothered. It hasn't gone anywhere. So, just for you guys who have just joined, I'm making brownies. If you've seen our Instagram and Facebook name, oh, that's not Shell, thank goodness. It's an afternoon, make brownies, bring them in Monday morning for team meeting. Team are like, yes, we get brownies. I'll wash my hands. Hi Chloe, great to see you. All right, there we go. Try my hands again. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with the rest. I'm going to be a rebel and use a spoon. I'm just going to break up my eggs a bit inside the bowl. Okay, talking of brownies, you can get so many different kinds of brownies. You can get, not only can you get like gluten-free and gluten, you can get loads of different toppings and flavors within the brownie themselves, and that is just brilliant. So I occasionally put some hazelnuts in mine. I'm not going to do that today, but I do occasionally do that just to, you know, spice up a bit. I've had one with raspberries on before. That was good. That was really good. What else have I had? What else have I had? I can't remember. Anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite like brownie flavors are, because brownies are just, they're amazing. Brownies are life. No, just kidding, they're really not. They're a really great comfort food. Actually, I'm just going to whisk it around. I'm getting a smaller whisk. Do we have one of those? Oh, that's too small. So, having moved back a couple of weeks ago, I am still trying to remember where everything is. Well, that was almost done, which is quite entertaining. I try and go to cupboards where I think things should be, and they're not there. I don't think that's really making much of a difference now I've got a whiskey out. Never mind. This bit takes a little bit of time, I must admit, but it's great fun. I mean, you get to create something, which is just, as a whole, brilliant. Okay, so I've finished whisking. What do I need to do next? Well, my phone will let me in. Okay, so I need to fold in the chocolate mixture. This is my favourite bit of it, because the chocolate mixture, although you're meant to leave it until it's room temperature, well, you probably should do that, otherwise you'll scramble the eggs. But it is just really fun to see it go in and kind of sink to the bottom. I think that's where I'm going with that point. Because you've got the air within the bubbles. No, within the eggs. You have air within bubbles anyway. Right, so there we go. Scrape that in. I'll pick it up in a moment to show you what it looks like. I kind of need two cameras going, or a lower camera. Okay. That is what it looks like at the moment. I do apologise about the light. So you can kind of see the chocolate around the edge and then the yellow bit around the side where the egg still is. So I'm just going to mix that together now. Well, fold it together more like, because it kind of goes together a bit better then. There we go. Wonderful. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm using a different chocolate to what I usually do. And I'm curious about how this is going to turn out, because I usually use Sainsbury's Own because they come in fairly big blocks and they're just really good. So I usually use that one, but today I'm using proper branded cooking dark chocolate. And I must admit, I'm a little nervous that it's going to affect the taste in some way. But, you know, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine, right? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Cool. So now I've done that. There it is. Nice chocolatey mixture. You can smell it. It is incredible, right? So, I need to, I've already done that bit. Sift the flour and the baking powder and the cocoa into the bowl. So where I'll put it is right next to me. So, get it. In fact, I'm going to re-handle this. There we go. Cool. I've got no idea if that's any good for you whatsoever. Hey. Okay, so I'm just going to pop those in together. you'll notice that the cocoa powder is a lot lumpier than the flour. It's a lot harder to get lumps out as well. So I've got a teaspoon here as well. A regular teaspoon, I'm just going to push that through. Cool. And then I need, I still need that. A teaspoon of my, where are you? My baking powder. A little bit of awkward music there. Okay, so I'm going to try and do this with one hand. Oh, that isn't quite. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. Ow, that hurt. I just scratched myself in the back of the spoon. So the spoon was like a really awkward, where have you gone? Awkward clippy bit. And I just caught my finger on that. That hurt. I'm okay, I think. Okay, so now we need to very gently fold this in. And it will become like a fudgy batter. Really nice and kind of gooey. How's your week been? It's been a whole week since I saw you. As I said, I saw you on Monday with Rosie. And I'm wondering, how has your week been? Have you got up to anything fun? Let us know in the comments. Have you been out on any interesting walks? Have you done anything fun at home? Have you Skyped your nan? But are your grandparents and other family members getting the hang of using technology to contact you? It'll be interesting. So my grandparents actually passed away a couple of years ago, but I'm just trying to imagine how they would be coping at the moment with like Skype and trying to get a hold of us. That would be quite entertaining. Right, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, Nick's sent a message. Loving the apron. Ah, thanks, Nick. It's my mum's. My actual apron has a sausage dog on it and talks about, it's not your Welsh one, no. It has like my one has a dog on it and says no barking, it says no baking or something like that. But it's a really nice apron, but it's not in Birmingham. Cool. Let us know how you're doing in the comments. Have you made anything recently, actually? Has anyone got on a bandwagon and decided to make banana bread? Because that has been the latest trend, hasn't it? Banana bread. I mean, I made banana bread, but it was because I had run out of... No, it wasn't because I ran out of anything. I'm just waffling now. It was because I had a banana that had gone too brown to eat and needed using up. Because I quite like bananas. But that's the only reason, really. I do make banana bread from time to time. Right, so now I'm going to break up my white chocolate. This is not the most elegant way of getting into this. It's really well sealed. Oh my word. There we go. Chocolate. Okay, I'm going to break that into chunks. I might even go and get a chopping board and a knife and cut it down even smaller, because those chunks are absolutely huge, aren't they? Can you see that all right? Yeah. They're massive. I mean, having a chunky brownie is pretty nice every now and then. But I mean, I need this chocolate to go a bit further than however many cubes there are. This was something else I probably should have prepped before, but never mind. I'm sure I will survive. There we go. Right. We have a selection of chopping boards. So I do apologise for like the singular painted nail. Or do I? I was trying out a nail colour, thinking, oh, this matches my skirt, and then I never got around to doing the rest of my hand. It looks a bit strange, but I mean, I do this more often than I want to admit to. So I just end up walking around with one finger of nail varnish on, probably a quarter of the time, in comparison to actually fully painting my hands. Or my nails. You wouldn't like fully paint your hands, would you? That would be a bit weird. Just a bit weird. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I didn't break it. The kettle broke this week. Well, actually, it was yesterday. So the lid has kind of fallen apart, and it is really annoying. I have dropped it into water multiple times. Last night it was into the pan of potatoes. I was like, oh, you're kidding. But you know what? Never mind. We'd have to get a new one. What a time to have a broken kettle though, eh? Right in the middle of lockdown, your kettle breaks. Oh, well, been managing so far with it like it is. In fact, talking about a hot drink, I need to drink my coffee. But yeah, I was using up some of the hot water and it just kind of popped off, went into the sink, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. This bit takes a little bit more time. I've got another comment. Oh, Chloe's not a very good cook. That's a shame. I mean, I guess not everyone is. Some people have to be good at some things, and some people don't have to be good at things. You can't be good at everything, I think is what I'm trying to say. But I'm sure there's something else that you're really good at that I'm not very good at. For example, I'm not very good at football. I run away from the ball. And some of my friends are incredible at football. But they're not quite so good at baking brownies. And that's just the way it is, really. Which is a bit of banter. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you a bit of thought that I've been having today. So I'm making brownies, and this batch will probably make quite a few because they're quite heavy when they've got all the chocolate in it. So you wouldn't want to be eating massive slices. So I've been thinking about whether or not I should give some to my neighbour, and that got me thinking about kindness. So I'm fairly confident one of the team, if not even me, has spoken about kindness already. But I'm just going to quickly talk about it again. So in this weird time that we're in, it is really helpful when we're kind to other people, whether that's to our family or our neighbours or the shop assistants that we see when we go out food shopping, or anyone really. And Jesus in the Bible was kind to other people. He is often described as kind, caring, and compassionate. And actually, he didn't have to do a lot of what he did. He didn't have to heal people. He didn't have to be kind to other people. He could have been like, no, I'm Jesus. You can all go away. But he didn't, because he loves us. But he loved us in the Bible, and he still loves us. He was kind to his disciples. He taught them things. He taught random people things as well. Actually, he healed people who usually wouldn't have really associated themselves with Jesus because they had a little bit of faith, and that little bit of faith healed them. But actually, Jesus being kind is an example to us. So in case you didn't know, I'm a Christian. Oh dear. And I try and follow Jesus' example whenever I can. And I think that being kind to others is actually a really good way of kind of, how do I describe this? Being like Jesus in my own life, which is brilliant. And it actually reminds me that it's important to do that as and when I can. And this world can be really selfish sometimes, but actually being kind to others is just brilliant. Best thing to do. Nick, actually, could I skip the brownie and have the chocolate? I mean, it's cooking chocolate. You might not like it very much. So I'm just going to stir it in the chocolate chunk now. And I'm going a little bit deeper into the Bible as well. Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, Trinity. I'm not going to explain it to you now because it's complicated. But Jesus and God are essentially one and the same. It's mind-boggling. But God actually did some really kind things in the Old Testament as well. Although they seem a bit strange. It was more a case of, I'm sparing your life here and letting you get away, or escape the enemy, or feeding them, giving them something to eat. So there's one story in the Bible where a guy was trying to run away and he didn't want to run anymore. And I say run, he wasn't really running, he was walking, but he didn't want to go any further. He kind of lay down and was like, God, just take my life. And God didn't, long story short, but he woke him up. An angel woke him up and was like, above your head some food, eat the food. And so he did, and he went back to sleep. And then shortly after, came back again and was like, wake up, eat this food, and you'll have strength sufficient enough to carry on to the end of your journey. And actually, that was really cool. Because the guy then was able to get to the end of his journey and escape the bad people who wanted to hurt him. The best way I've heard the Old Testament described, because some people think the Old Testament's really boring, and actually it can be. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not because of what's in it, but the way it's written. So it was written a long time ago, and there are lots of things in there that don't necessarily apply to our society today. So things like sacrificing goats and calves and doves and lambs, we don't really do that in today's society. Although I just remembered a story that I'm not going to tell you. Maybe I'll say that to another day. So it makes me laugh. Sacrifice, we don't do sacrifice anymore. We don't follow a load of laws that were given back in the Old Testament, because Jesus came and was like, okay, you don't really need to do all of this stuff anymore. You can kind of follow me, not kind of follow me, you can follow me, and that's all you need to do, really. I mean, as long as you follow some other bits and bobs as well that help. But like I spoke about last Thursday, we messed up on that quite a lot. But yeah, the Old Testament does have some things in it that are quite interesting. But anyway, long story short, I heard this guy, Tim Ross, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Tim Ross. And he was talking at a summer festival that I used to go on called Soul Survivor. And he described the Old Testament as a long movie trailer, which I thought was actually really quite useful. It's a really good way of describing it, because actually it builds up to the climax of the film of Jesus. Jesus is the big wow part, and the rest of the Bible is kind of giving hints about it. Like, in a film trailer, how it talks about it, but it doesn't give the whole thing. Otherwise, why would you go and see the film? But it gives a glimpse into what this film is going to be about and how it's going to play out. So actually, they're called prophecies. There are lots of prophecies in the Old Testament about Jesus, which I think is really cool. Anyway, so I've now mixed in. That was a long little chat that I didn't intend to talk that much, but it was fun. So I've now mixed in my chocolate. It is quite thick. I'm going to move some stuff out of my way. Okay. And now I need my tray. Blind it. And this where it gets fun. I'm going to angle it right down. There we go. Okay, let me know. Have you read any of the Old Testament before? What did you think of it? Do you agree with me? Do you think that it's like a long movie trailer? Do you think that Jesus is kind? Why or why not? Has Jesus ever been kind to you? That's great done. You can't even see that. It's great down the side of the wall. And then just kind of pour it in. I keep saying the words kind of, and I need to stop because it's really annoying me. Whee! Oh, I've just done my fingers. Brilliant. Right. I mean, you can lick the bowl afterwards if you want to. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, or at least not having masses of it, because I don't want you to get into trouble when you're not very well. But I don't want to be in trouble when you're not very well, because this has raw eggs in and lots of uncooked flour and lots of cooking chocolate, which might not really agree with your insides before it's cooked. However, if you use non-cooking chocolate, when you melt the chocolate, you can lick the bowl afterwards, lick the chocolate bowl that you melted it on. So, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that bit. I melted the chocolate into the butter on the stove before I started. And be careful, that will be quite hot. I'm just going to use a thingy. I can't remember what it's called. Nick, help! But do you know what this is called? I called it a spatula thingy the other day, but I don't think I'm right. I really don't think I'm right. Nick, help me out here. What's this pink soft thing called? See, Nathan's family. Not Nathan's family. Nick's family. I'm friends with his son, so I frequently call them the other thing in my head. I've done it out loud. Oh no. Nick's family often cook things, bake things. They do a lot of bread in their house, and the bread looks really good as well. There we go. Using this. Oh, Nick, silicone spatula. Thank you, Nick. That is what this is called. It's nice and soft, so actually it goes around all the corners, like a bowl has corners. All the edges of the bowl that your wooden spoon can't get to, cornered bowl, and scrapes it out. Oh, I've got another funny story. I mean, I think it's funny. You probably won't, but hear me out. So the other day I saw a meme about a guy called Bob Hale, who used to be the weather presenter on Horrible Histories. However, a news reporter on Horrible Histories, and he was really funny, and his catchphrase was "but not for long." So there's a lot of that going around at the moment on the internet, and I thought to myself, oh, you know what, I fancy googling some of these videos of Bob Hale and his "but not for long" reports just to amuse myself and entertain myself for a little while. So I did that on YouTube, and little did I know I was still logged onto the work account on my laptop, which means that anyone who uses the YouTube account, anyone who uses the YouTube account for a little while will get recommendations for Horrible Histories things. So I apologise. It was my fault, but it is really funny because I realised too little, too late. And moral of the story is always check. Always check which account you're using before you start searching for things. Whoops. Right, so I'm just going to stick this in the oven now for about 20 minutes. Oh, too much. There we go. So I will probably check that in about 15 minutes. I mean, I'm not going to stay on for 15 minutes because I'll just be sat here waffling. Stood here waffling to you about nothing in particular. And you probably don't need to hear that on a Friday when the sun is shining and you can go outside. So yeah, it's a really nice day. So I'm going to let you guys go. I will post a picture of my brownies for Creative Friday onto our Instagram account to show you what the finished thing looks like. There we go. Show you what they look like. And I'm really excited about it. I will try not to eat it before it gets onto the Instagram. There might be a hole in it. Never mind. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed our Creative Fridays video. I hope it's inspired you to do a bit of baking, whether that's banana bread, if you're jumping on that bandwagon, or brownies, or bread, whatever you fancy. Give it a shot if you can get hold of flour, that is. But yeah, just be creative, be you. It's a weird time, and actually I find being creative has really helped so far. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I make cards, so I've made a lot of cards. I've sent those to my friends. I've made food, lots of food. So I end up doing a lot of the food cooking at the moment. So I quite enjoy it. So I do dinner. I've made bread. I've made cinnamon buns. They were incredible. So yeah, I hope it's kind of inspired you to go off and do something creative. But yeah, let us know what you get up to. Message us on Instagram if you want any prayer or just want to chat. We know this is a really difficult time and we're going through it as well, but we don't want that to stop you. We want that to encourage you to come and talk to us because we understand a little bit about what you're going through at the moment because we're also going through it. So yeah, message us on Instagram. It's Norwich Youth for Christ. Norwich Youth for Christ, and it's the same on our Facebook page, Norwich Youth for Christ. I'll post pictures on there later. Spread love, not germs. See ya.